The first actual court was held in September of 2010. We initiated the planning process in February of 2010, and it really was initiated by the fact that earlier in that winter and at the first part of 2010, as a court, I noticed that we were getting more and more individuals who were before the court without much of a criminal history who shared one common trait, and that was the fact that they were either reservists, guardsmen, or otherwise veterans.
I was back east in DC at a conference and had a real short little presentation about a judge in Buffalo, New York that started a veterans court.
At that point in time, a few of us got together and discussed the issue. I started researching veterans courts, and I found Judge Russell's court in Buffalo on the computer, read everything we could about it, and then we started holding organizational meetings.
Got on the phone to the administrative office of courts. I was a Superior Court Commissioner at the time, and asked them if there was a veterans court in existence in Washington. They tuned me into Olympia, where a judge had just started one there. So I called that judge, and he was so excited that somebody else had seen the light, and he immediately overnight mailed me all of their forms and templates for what they had started over there.
And we determined that, we're going to prosecute these people anyway. We're going to defend them anyway. We're going to put them on probation anyway. We're going to pull the files anyway. Why don't we put them all on one docket, and we can address some of their particular issues. And with the help of the VA, we could develop a program where they would get the individual counseling that they were going to need. But at the same time, we determined it would be necessary and probably a good idea to bring these folks in at least once a month together, assign them a mentor, an individual mentor who would kind of keep touch of them at least once a week, and sponsor one group therapy session a month where everybody got together. We started out with about 7 people. At the second meeting, we had about 10 people. And then as the year progressed, we'd have a meeting a month, and we would always ask who was not at the table for the formation of this court that should be at the table. And when we reached our last organizational meeting, which I believe was in July of 2010, we had 44 people at the table. Many of them were volunteers. We had a lot of assets from the community. When we were soliciting for mentors for this program, and we went to the Veterans of Foreign Wars, we went to the American Legion.
Well, one of our biggest, our first supporters was the Combat Vets Motorcycle Club. And they are not what you would think. Their entire purpose is to support military families and military veterans and families. Totally, they don't exist for any other reason.
The judge, and it was a retired sergeant major, they came to our motorcycle club, and they were looking for people to help. It was very small in the infancy, just got off the ground, and they were needing some mentors. And this fell right in line with what we wanted to do. It was a direct approach, and the people coming back, giving our brothers and sisters some help when they came back.
So then we started looking around at different organizations, finding people that were interested, and then signing them up and putting them through mentor training. And we have a group of about 50 that are regular mentors now. And now, of course, we take some of the stars of our defendants who have gone through the program, done very well.
What blew me away was the fact that Vietnam vets just came out. It came out of the woodwork, and they're like, we'll do what we can to help these guys. And I mean, whoa! That after the way they were treated on their return, it was a surprise to find that they still had that kind of humanity in them. And I think a lot of their motivation was based, they didn't want anybody to go through what they went through. I think the numbers speak for themselves in terms of the individuals that have gone through the program. We're looking at about a little over 7.5% recidivism rate. The program itself per year, I think if we average it out, is going to give us about 900 saved jail days. If you add all that up, you're looking at probably around $120,000 to $150,000 of raw jail time. To get those additional days, however, the prosecutor and public defender had to go to court with the clerk, and if you add up the prosecutor time, the public defender time to get that extra 900 days, now you're looking at probably $350,000 to $400,000. And so in a pure economic sense, this makes sense. It's not that hard to put together. Once you get the word out, once you start talking to other veterans and veterans groups, once you get those other veterans on board with you and with whatever program you want to put together, then you go out and reach the community leadership. and you go through your court system. It's not that tough to do. It's actually fairly easy because you will get support. But more importantly than that, it's the individuals. When you can take an individual who was on heroin, on methamphetamine, on everything else on the planet, and pull him from the depths of basically, he's going to be dead in about a year, pull him back out and make him a constructive member of society. That I think is probably one of the best feelings you can get. And really, this whole protocol is human salvage. We're out here salvaging veterans. That's what we're doing.